opportunity to do your practice exercise to understand what neurographic art is. Now we're going to apply those principles to an actual portrait. So we're still in the creative process. We're under a neurographic portrait. So let's look at the portrait introduction. So let me just talk about the stages and what we're going to do and what the subject matter is going to be. I better go back to the beginning. Okay. So for this project, we're going to do a portrait in the style of the neurographic art that we did, okay? So all the skills that we learned from doing our neurographic first exercise, we're going to apply them to on a portrait. So the idea of having these neurographic lines, contours of things, which is our outlines of stuff, about all of our intersections are curved, the way that it's colored in. We're going to apply all those things now to a person. But before you freak out, I'm going to walk you through every step and you'll be totally fine. Okay? So, but the focus for this is I want to be a little bit different. For neurographic art, the idea is that when you are drawing, the process of actually making the art is to sort of examine how the outside forces in your environment in the world and everything is going on sort of affect the inside of you and how you feel and who you are. So I want to take that idea and I want to change it a little bit. I want to now look at people who have changed the outside world because of who they are on the inside. So these are the people that I call the change makers. So I've been reading a lot of stuff about the history of DJing and graffiti in the Bronx in the early 70s, and especially women, because I don't think they're represented enough. But one of the cool women that was pioneers of female rap was MC Lyte. She was from the Bronx. She was the first woman to put out a solo female rap album, and I've been reading a lot about her, but I think just kind of what she did sort of opened the doors for a lot of other people. So I think she's a change maker. So if I was going to do this project, she might be one person that I pick. Okay, so the hardest part of this project is to think about, okay, who is the change maker for you, and who are you going to do, right? So how has this person changed the world, right? And let's do a tribute picture to them using the neurographic process. Okay, so think about who is your change maker. I mean, you could go with Gandhi, you could go with Mother Teresa, but I want you to really think about what you're interested in and what you believe in, and do some research and think about, some people, and sort of maybe discover some of these people that have made a difference in the world. Okay, so once you get an idea of who you want, these are the stages of what we're going to do. So I'm going to walk you through this, but you're going to start off with a photograph. We're going to put it on the computer and posterize it so we can trace it and get all the contours, which are the outlines. We're going to retrace it then in marker and in the neurographic style. We're going to digitize it so it's a crisp, clear image. And then finally at the end, you're going to color it in on the computer. Okay, so the first thing is, for our next lesson, I'll talk more in depth, but the first thing that you want to do is find your photo and you're going to make your idea board. I'll talk more about the idea board, but there's not a lot of neurographic portraits out there that you're going to find for inspiration. So you're going to find a variety of photos. So you're going to find photos of your change maker. Then on the computer, we're going to do something called posterizing it, which means that it separates everything into layers for you. And then that way it has all the contours and all the information there. So when we're ready, we can trace it and it gives us all the information there. And I'm going to show you how we can trace our stuff. Then we're going to outline it, and then we're going to apply our neurographic techniques, like rounding out the edges and adding in more patterns, and making the lines going all the way to the edge. We're going to vectorize it, which is turning into an SVG file on the computer. Super easy. This makes it super crisp and clear. So finally, and I'm not finished this, I just did this as an example, you can color it in on the computer. Okay, so we're ready to get started. So let's look at the next lesson and talk about how we're going to find our image.